Welcome to Prescribing Lifestyle, the podcast that's all about empowering you to live your healthiest, happiest life. I'm your host, Dr. Avi Charlton, and each week we'll dive into the latest research, practical tips, and inspiring stories to help you optimize your well-being. From nutrition and fitness to mental health and mindfulness, we'll explore every aspect of lifestyle medicine, giving you the tools you need to make informed decisions and take control of your health. Whether you're looking into preventing disease, managing chronic conditions, or simply elevate your quality of life, Prescribing Lifestyle is here to guide you on your journey to wellness. So, sit back, relax, and get ready to embark on this transformative adventure towards a healthier, happier you. Let's dive in. Hello, welcome to another episode of Prescribing Lifestyle. Today I have a special guest, Jeremy Stead. He is from New Zealand. I met him through Breathless Expedition online course maybe 2 months ago. So he has an amazing journey to tell, how he recovered from anxiety and stress through breathwork. Welcome, Jeremy. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So I would like you to tell us your journey. How did you come across breathwork? What happened?
I guess it goes back about. I got to take a step back about 7 years ago. For the last 7 years, I had been running my own marketing company, and I had staff and everything. And until I got into breathwork, I didn't actually realize how stressed I was. It just became a normal part of life. And then when the stress disappeared, I went, oh, so this is actually how life is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And on that journey, I had tried so many different modalities. I had meditated for years, morning, nights, often for I could sit there for half an hour, 45 minutes at a time. And trying to sit there and think about not thinking, I know it works for a lot of people and meditation is very powerful. It wasn't for me though.
Tell us, what symptoms did you have when you have stress and anxiety? How did you perform and what sort of problems you ran into?
So it was almost like this constant feeling of just feeling like just horrible inside.
Okay.
I couldn't focus. I would lose my temper easily. At the smallest thing, I would just snap.
Okay.
There's so many things, and anxiety. My anxiety's actually the real big reason is when I split from the business, I broke down and I found myself. This is probably one of the lowest parts of my life. Was like the anxiety really reached me. I found myself just crumbled up in a ball a few times, just not able to, just lying on the ground, crying.
Wow.
I wasn't able to operate at all. It just shut me down.
Okay. And was that from your job that you had stress and anxiety, or was it something else?
That was from my job. Me and my business partner split, and it was a nasty split.
Oh no.
And it just sent me down this. It wasn't a dark path. It was actually quite a positive path because I found breathwork.
Yeah.
But to start with, you feel like your world is crumbling in. And I had a kid on the way. I've got a daughter now. I had a daughter
Okay.
1 month before starting the course.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So how long ago were we talking about? When did you have the stress and anxiety?
January this year. I had it for years, and it just it built and built and built and built until January this year, when I really that was that moment at the end of January where I fully that's when I just stopped everything and it broke me to the point where I couldn't. I love surfing. I didn't want to surf anymore. It was just I'd lost the passion for pretty much for everything.
Yeah. So because of all the stress, you just shut down and didn't want to do anything.
It just, the stress and anxiety, you think personally, I thought I had them under control.
Yeah.
And until I reached that tipping point or the bottom of the hole, I didn't realize how bad they were.
Wow. And you said you've tried lots of different therapies?
I've I tried counselling. I
Mm.
tried counselling wasn't for me. Talking about my
No,
problems.
didn't want to
The,
talk about it. Didn't help.
not that I could bring it up and talk about it, but
Yep.
I would walk away from there, and 10 minutes later, I was like, I don't know if that helped.
Okay. Yep, yep. And then you
Uh,
said you tried meditation.
I tried meditation for years. I thought that was it's obviously we're swamped with meditation. You look on YouTube, and
Yes.
every second video is a meditation video. There's
Yeah.
countless apps. There's an overwhelming amount of apps for meditation,
Yep, yep. And
and
you said you tried for 30 minutes morning and night?
sometimes longer.
Yeah, yeah. You
Yep,
haven't found that helpful at all?
I don't meditate anymore.
Okay, great.
And I'm not saying it's. I think for some people, maybe it is really good, and maybe I'll come back to
Mm,
it one day.
sure.
But for now, I find the breath, 5 minutes of breath work, 10 minutes of breath work is far more powerful.
Yeah. Did you end up going to the doctor and did you think about medications at all?
I didn't. I didn't.
No.
Part of the reason I guess behind that is I come from my mother is she's very holistic. She comes from a healing background,
Oh, wow. Okay, great.
which is I guess it's not from the doctor's background.
Sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And you said you do a lot of sports and tell us a
I
bit about
surf a
that.
lot. I s-
Mm,
Before I was now having a kid. I've got a 5-month-old daughter.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's changed a lot.
Okay.
But hopefully as she gets older, a bit older, I can get back into it. But when I was surfing, I could surf 3 or 4 times a week, sometimes more. If it was,
Great.
I could be out every day.
Yep, yep.
That
And
was
when
my
you had the stress and
therapy.
anxiety, did you keep going or you felt like you can't do it anymore?
And when it was just this constant kind of, it was just this level that I just thought I had it under control.
Hmm.
I used to surf. I surfed all the time. And that
Okay,
and
great.
that used to bring it back down. But when it reached that peak level of just I shut down. I didn't want to surf. I would go
Yep.
out surfing and I'd just get wrecked. I couldn't focus.
Mm,
And I'd lost the enjoyment for it.
because you're so stressed.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And how did you come across breath work?
I I didn't actually realize this until I jumped on the
Hmm.
course and that I used to do breath work way back, probably 5+ years ago. I would get up early in the morning and lie on the ground and practice breath holds for freediving. I was really into freediving for a short period of time.
Okay, great.
And then when I started looking for something else to do, I was starting to feel a bit better.
Yep.
And I knew I wanted to get into well-being. I just didn't know what. So
Mm,
I spoke to so many people. I spoke to lots of different meditation people who run courses all around the world.
mm,
And I almost went with one. And then I started searching breath work and breathless. A lot of them didn't feel right. I looked all over the world and I just liked Johannes'
yeah,
approach to
yeah.
breath
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Yep. It
Great.
was,
Yeah.
he was very holistic about it. And I liked that he was able to introduce you to the spectrum of breaths rather than
Yeah.
let's just hyper focus on, performance breathing or the Buteyko method or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah. Great. Yeah, for our audience, Jeremy and I both did the Breathless Expedition Instructor course. It lasted about 2.5 months, and we've been instructed by Johannes Egberts and with lots of breathwork exercises and lots of theories. It was great. I really enjoyed it too.
Yep. I loved it.
Great. And what's your practice now? How do your breathwork practice look like?
Right now, I've actually just started running a couple times a week.
Okay.
I usually start a run at about 6 a.m. and it's taking me quite a long time to transition from mouth breathing to nose breathing. And I get,
Okay. Yep.
this is the first week I've actually felt like I can go for like a 5+K run and
Okay.
nose breathe the whole time. But this is only on the flat. Um, if I get to a fairly decent hill, I feel like I've got two choices. I've either got to slow down
Yep.
and continue to breathe through my nose, which I
Yep.
do,
Yep.
or I've got to breathe through my
Open
mouth.
open your mouth. Yeah,
And
yeah.
that gear system that Johannes talks about. But
Yeah.
I feel like the hills aren't big enough to warrant mouth breathing. Like I should be able to run up them and nose breathe.
Okay. Yeah.
So I have to I run a little bit, recover my breath through the nose, run a bit.
What have you
And
noticed that nose breathing helps with exercise?
when I get back from a run, I actually feel like I could just keep on running.
Okay. Yeah.
If I had more time, I could just keep going. I don't feel fatigued.
Wow.
I
Okay.
get back and when you get back for it, it could be a short run where you're just like, yeah, and
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
panting like a dog, on a really hot day.
Yep. Yep.
I get back and I'm like, wow, I could just keep going.
Wow. How long do you go running for?
At this stage, I have just started training for a half marathon. I've never run a half marathon or a marathon.
Okay. Great.
So I've just using an app to guide me through kind of running 5Ks, 7Ks, 9Ks, and just
Okay.
build up that tolerance on
So,
a
yep. So building up from 5 to 9 Ks at the moment?
yeah, and then it will go obviously to what's a half marathon, about 21 Ks, I think.
21. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. You've run it through marathons, haven't you?
Yeah. Yeah. I've run two full marathons
Yep.
and I walked 100 Ks last
Wow.
year. Yeah. Walking.
How
But
was
I'm not
that?
running. Yeah. I'm not running as much anymore. Back then I wasn't nose breathing. I was mouth breathing back then.
Yep.
Yeah, but I've transitioned into nose breathing maybe from the start of this year, and I can
Yep.
do 5Ks, probably more 5Ks, or nose breathing.
Yeah, 5K seems to be my limit at the moment, and it has to be pretty flat.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes I still have to slow down, but I'm just, I haven't got running as a priority at the moment. Just busy with work and life, so not really prioritizing running.
Yeah, understandable. I guess because I'm real into the performance side of the breath,
Yep, yep,
I've got to I've got to obviously
yeah,
educate myself on it, and that means that the best way I can do it at this point in time is to be doing it on a daily basis.
yep, yep.
When
That's
I'm at
awesome.
work, I guess we've got flights of stairs,
Yep.
and run up them, hold your breath.
Yeah, yeah. So you practice holding breath walking upstairs.
Yeah, yeah. I also practice holding the breath at the start of the walk too. You do 10 paces, hold your breath,
Okay.
10 paces, let the breath out, 10 paces,
Yep.
breathe in, 10 paces, just as a little warm up just for a few minutes, and then I
Yeah.
go to run.
Yeah, yeah. That's great. Awesome. And you do other sports? Was there other sports that you do?
I snowboard.
Okay.
I've spent I don't snowboard as much as I would like to. I actually live in Northland in New Zealand. I used to live in the South Island.
Oh, okay. So not as close to the snowfields?
Yeah, I've chased, but then I've chased a lot of winters. Before I met my wife,
Oh,
I had
okay.
I had I had chased many winters in New Zealand, States, and
Mm.
I was an instructor for snowboarding.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So yeah, it was my life for years. I just wanted to stand on a snowboard. I think
Wow.
one year I remember getting back from the States one year. I'd blown out my knee, and I remember I had spent more than 200 days on a snowboard. That yeah, it was more time standing on a snowboard than it was walking around.
Wow. That's amazing. Wow, that's great. Me and my kids, I've got a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old boy, so two boys,
Yeah,
and we ski.
nice. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
you first started the course.
Yeah.
I think it was
Yeah, I
YouTube.
was actually in the snowfield in up
Yeah,
in Falls Creek when I just started the course.
is it Falls Creek around them? Is it? I think I've heard it. It starts with T.
It's about 5 hours out of Melbourne.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So we drive up almost every year, And that's
Yeah.
how I get my kids into activities. Sometimes we go to Falls Creek, sometimes we go to Mount Hotham.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one I've heard of, Mount Hotham.
Yeah, yeah. But they're pretty fast and they're much faster than me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, kids are, eh? My,
Right.
my sister's got three boys and one of them's, how old's he, 7, and the other one's almost 4. And the 4-year-old he's a machine. I can't really work. He doesn't seem to have any fear. It's just go.
All right. Yeah. Yeah. 4-year-olds. I don't think my boys started that young, but when my boys was really young, they just keep going and they have no
Yeah.
fear.
Yeah. These boys live in the mountains, so they can go up most days. Parents,
Yeah.
parents are both. Well, my sister, 'cause obviously my sister, my dad introduced us to the mountain I will think I was on skis at 3.
Wow.
So it's
Great.
been a big part of my life.
I wish we can go more often. It's just such a big drive. We can only go once a year for about 4 or 5 days at a time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm lucky in that my family live at the snow, so I've got a free house to stay at there, and I can
Ah,
work from there a lot of the
lovely.
time. And
Great. Would now that you know breathwork, would you do anything differently snowboarding?
I, yeah, I would. I I've done a lot of time just, I guess, getting off piste and tracking around the mountain to find different lines,
Okay.
and that would change that. And that when you're walking in the snow, and because of obviously you're at altitude
Mhm.
and you're walking uphill, and
Yep.
if the snow's quite deep, then it's actually really hard work.
Yeah, yeah.
I would imagine that now that with the running, that when I got up to altitude, I would hope that I was better prepared for it because you can find yourself really breathless in the mountains, especially when
Yeah.
you're walking up a hill at altitude.
Okay. Yep.
Like that's when you sometimes you'll be like, "Ugh, oh, this is really hard work," and you're like, oh, I actually don't feel like I'm actually doing a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So you think maybe training before you get up the mountain?
Yeah, yeah,
Like,
definitely. I guess replicating that breathlessness with breath holds, just walking breath holds
mm,
and running breath holds. I do a few running breath holds, not for a long time.
yeah. Tell us how you do running breath holds.
Exactly the same as the walking ones. I guess it's
Hmm.
a little bit faster, 10 paces, hold the breath, let it out, breathe in, 10 paces, hold the breath again.
Okay, great. And do you do that with your every run when you're running?
I do it when I don't do it religiously. I do it
Okay.
like, okay, I'm ready to do a breath hold. I'm feeling good.
Yep.
I do it then, and then again, and then I'm like, okay, this is getting a little bit hard. I need to slow it down now and bring it back down to baseline. Let's slow the run down to quite a slow jog.
Yep. Yep. Great. All right. Fantastic. And just going back to your stress and anxiety, how are you feeling now? Is that still bothering you, or you think it's much better?
I feel I feel like I can't believe I feel that good right now.
Mm,
Like I sleep better. I can actually I used to need a lot of sleep. Now I can get by on 6 or 7 hours sleep a night.
okay.
And I don't know if that's healthy or not, but I just feel like I can get up at 4:30 or 5 a.m. and just I'm ready to go.
Mm.
And
Why do you think it's like that?
mouth tape.
Ah,
Um,
okay. Yep.
and just when I go to bed, I used to go to bed. I didn't realize how much stress and anxiety I went to bed with. My head was
Ah,
racing,
okay.
and now I can turn it off. I lie down in bed and I'm like, oh, I'm thinking about something. I guess your breath just when you come back to the breath,
Hmm.
you realize that your brain is spinning and you can stop it. And I can go, okay, my head's running. I need to do some 5 minutes coherence breathing.
Mm,
Just a short ladder breath.
yeah. Yeah. I have talked about coherent breathing. Can you
Yeah.
explain to our listeners what coherent breathing is?
In short, it's 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out, or ideally 5.5 seconds in and five and a
Mhm.
half seconds out.
Yeah,
Which,
yeah.
yeah, it's obviously pretty hard to time that. But in short, that really, it helps to get your brain and your heart and all your organs in sync, because often
Yeah.
they're out of sync. You've been going about your day and you've got kids, you've been stuck in traffic, you've been running
Mm,
around, you've been to the supermarket and dealt with the queues there.
yes.
Bosses yelled at you, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And you're like, I need to bring myself back down to baselines because I'm losing my temper at my kids when they've actually done nothing wrong. They just want to play with me or whatever it is.
They're just being kids.
Yeah. So I need to
Yeah.
just like sit at my seat and breathe for 5 minutes, even if it's a minute.
Yeah.
It is super powerful. It's something I actually don't practice it enough myself. Like when I get in the car from work, I realize so if I don't do it, I come home to a 5-month-old daughter who,
Mhm.
she started to, when I get home now, she's starting to have that big smile, really happy
Oh,
to see me.
yeah.
Yeah, and I love it. But sometimes if I don't do any like a short amount of breath work, I find
Hmm.
myself getting home and I'm not as present as I could be.
Oh, okay, great. So you find you want to have a habit of doing it on the way home in the car?
Just as I get in the car, I
Hmm.
can just sit for, 1 or 2 minutes, turn the car on or leave it off
Yeah.
and just count in my head, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah. And out 2, 3, four,
Yep.
5. It's so easy, isn't it? Even if you just 1 or 2 minutes, it's so easy to bring your nervous system down and so easy to regulate your nervous system.
It's incredible. It's definitely the one I find myself returning to all the time because it's so easy to remember.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
before I've had some big meetings lately,
Okay.
and I know before I was quite nervous about it.
Mm.
And I just sat there I don't even know if it was a minute, for 30 seconds. And it was like I just went poof, straight back down to, wow, I feel really good. I'm ready for this.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I think
So, yeah.
sorry, I was just going to say, I think the more you do breath work,
Mhm.
the more aware you become of your breath.
Yes.
So you pick up that you're over breathing and you're like, okay, this is what is giving me this anxiety, giving me this stress right now.
Yep, yep. That's amazing. So how many times a day do you think you would be tuning into your breath?
I try to do it in the morning.
Okay.
And I don't get to do it every morning. It's just I do try to do it every morning, but it
Hmm.
doesn't happen all the time. It's a 5-month-old is I try and when I get up before I go to work, I try and make sure that she's asleep and down so my wife can keep on having a sleep because obviously she's still breastfeeding her and we've both got
Yeah.
to get up in the night and my wife has a far better day. So that means
Yep.
I have a better day
Yes.
if if she's well rested and she gets those extra few hours in the morning.
Yeah, that's lovely.
So if Romy, our daughter, is sleeping good, then I can get
Mhm.
the 5 minutes in. If I've got to put her down and get out the door to get to work on time, then I don't get them
Oh,
in.
well, that is life.
It is what
And
it is.
yeah, yeah. So first thing in the morning, and then would you do it again later?
I don't do it. I don't do it at lunchtime. I should do, but
Yeah,
it just I haven't got in the habit of that. I eat my
sure.
lunch,
Hmm.
talking with workmates and stuff, and then it's like, I should have sat down for 5 minutes before this.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, when I was doing the breathing retraining, I was religiously carving out
Yeah,
15 minutes at lunchtime. And then I got out of that habit as well at lunchtime.
I've been thinking about the breath retraining. I'm like, I need to get back into that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So powerful.
Mm, yeah. So my course participants are just about to get into breath retraining, which hopefully
Yep.
they would embrace it and love it, and or it could
I
be a bit boring or challenging for some.
Yeah, I think that was my thing. I think I also found it a little bit boring, but I think if you put on some music, it's all
Mm,
right. Once you understand, the theory behind it and you've done it a few times,
yeah.
maybe to yourself guiding it, then you're away.
Yes.
You can put on your favorite song or whatever it is, or maybe some nice peaceful music and just breathe
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, yeah, great. So first thing in the morning, and then you will. you would do it before you come home?
Yeah. That's a real big one that I really need to work on that habit. I'm
Hmm.
good at it some days, and some days, if I've had a big day, that's the day I actually need it the most, but
Yep,
forget
yep.
about it.
Yes. Yeah. So remind yourself
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah. It's almost like my brain should do it, but maybe just before I leave work, like I need it on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Great. And then you incorporate in your exercises as well.
Yeah, yeah.
That is a fantastic routine. That's great.
Exercises all in the morning. I don't have time at night. I like to come home and spend time with my daughter. That's
Yep.
put her on the front pack, and we live on a few acres, and I just walk around and I show her the plants in that stage of wanting to touch everything.
Ah, how lovely. Great. And so both of us have training to become a breathless instructor to facilitate breath work. And you're hoping to get into coaching people? Tell us a bit about what you're thinking.
Yeah, so my real interest is in the performance side of things,
Mm-hmm.
and in
Mm.
that, I guess you'd call it stress mitigation, and
Yep.
building that window of stress.
Mm-hmm.
So people go from having a stress window of that big, like where they fully snap into that sympathetic nervous system, where they're losing focus, they're losing their cool, whatever it is. Maybe they're an entrepreneur and they're growing a business, or maybe they're
Yep.
a tennis player
Mm-hmm.
or a surfer. Like a good surfing example would be you're in the firing line and you're getting
Mm-hmm.
smashed, and
Mm-hmm.
when you freak out, you obviously you that's when you can experience cramp, and
Mm-hmm.
your body uses all the oxygen up
Mm-hmm.
quite quickly.
Yep.
Whereas if you can relax into that and
Mm-hmm.
get that and have that oxygen still move around your body, but obviously you're not using it at such a fast pace, it means you can get through the waves hitting you on the head.
Yeah. Okay. So
And
trying to teach athletes to control their nervous system.
yes, yeah. The nervous system is really, that's my own experience, is taking the nervous system from probably operating in the sympathetic side of things, 80, 90% of the time, probably even in
Mm.
my sleep, to I don't know, maybe 20%, 10%, like, and very controlled. I can almost play with it now
Wow.
to the point of like, okay, you want to bring up your sympathetic nervous system because whatever you're doing.
Yep. Yep. Let's say you're doing a talk on doing a presentation on something.
Yeah. Yeah. You want it to
Yeah.
come on, not to the top of it, but
Mm-hmm.
lightly. You need a bit of amp there.
Yep. Yep. And then you can bring it down when you don't
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah. Yeah. But really, that tolerance is a big thing for me,
Mm.
increasing that tolerance on both
Mm.
sides of the spectrum so they're operating from baseline.
Mm. So you can tolerate stress a bit more often and not be
Yeah.
hyped up or stressed out too
I
much.
actually heard something really interesting, and they were talking about it was Nadal or something, one of those really high level tennis players.
Okay.
And he was, oh no, it was Djokovic? It is, eh?
Yeah. Novak Djokovic, yeah.
Novak Djokovic was
Mm-hmm.
trained at breathwork, and he's that good at it
Mm.
that he can pick up when his opponents are over breathing and stressed.
Oh, okay.
He's like, this is my time to, strike. They're losing their cool. They're losing their focus.
Wow. That's really powerful.
Yeah, that was kind of an eye opener into, oh wow, this could be if someone is trained in breath work
Yep.
and they're good at it themselves and they can see what their opponent is,
Yep. Yep.
how they're breathing, that is going to change the game because they're like, okay, now is a good time to exert more energy. Oh, actually, this person's really focused. Let's keep our cool and just continue to breathe slowly until we've, time to strike, with maybe martial arts or whatever it is.
Yeah. Wow, that is very powerful. I think that'll be really good if you are a coach of somebody athletic and coach them on how to manage their mindset like that.
Yeah. I would like to get into the trauma, but
Oh, okay, yeah.
but I had some releases myself through Johannes's stuff, And I,
Okay.
I don't know if I'm ready to go there, taking someone on that release.
Mm.
I
A
don't
lot
know.
of my listeners don't know what breathwork can do for trauma. Tell us
Yep.
what do you think? Yeah.
I guess the best way I can explain it is how Johannes explains it, and is like if you're a zebra and you're attacked by a lion
Hmm.
and you survive it,
Hmm.
a zebra will go away, find a safe place, and just shake it off. Like that's their nervous
Hmm.
system literally getting rid of that energy.
Yeah.
And then they get up, they go to the watering hole, and they're like, "Hey, I'm good to go.
Hmm.
I'm ready to go." And that memory is almost cut out of their brain.
Yeah.
Whereas humans, we can have something traumatic happen in our lives, and it depends on who we are, what we define as traumatic. Or some people
Yeah.
are obviously a lot better at experiencing things and going, "That wasn't a big deal." Could be a car crash, it could be something physical with another person,
Mm-hmm.
and in particular, fast breathing is it's a method of getting people to get out of their head and bring them into their body. You're kind of chopping it off there and going, let's get into the other 90% of the body and get those tissues, kind of like the zebra, releasing all the issues that they hold. Because they're kind of like my understanding of them is that the tissues of your body, they store that event.
Yes.
You can't get it out of your brain, but when you release it from your tissues, your brain doesn't process it in the same way. You can think
Yeah.
of it, and then it's like in that air out the other one. It just doesn't bother you anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas when it's stuck in there, and in your heart, and you've got that feeling when you think of it, and your body just sinks. You're like, I can't operate. What am I going to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Can't even think like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's very good explanation. I think what happens is when you have a traumatic event, your body will store the trauma and become tense and tight. And when you go through a breathwork release, which is very fast breathing, the the fast breathing actually defrontalize and let the oxygen get it away from the frontal lobe and the main part of the brain, and you can actually have a release and get your emotions out of the frontal part of your brain,
Yeah,
which
totally.
is yeah, which is an amazing journey. And I have had that experience when I did some release myself, that
Yeah,
you actually go into a absolute relaxation afterwards and you get much more relaxed than before.
yeah. I remember when I was doing it one night, and I remember like shaking. My body
Mm,
was shaking, like almost uncontrollably.
yeah.
And I cried, and then I remember like just coming out of it with like a huge smile on my face.
Okay.
And it's kind of you don't really know there's so many traumas that can go on in people's lives,
Mm,
and yet it's hard to define which one it's released, or is it all of them? But for myself, it's like some things don't bother me anymore, which should bother
yeah.
me. And
Okay, great. It's
and
such amazing, so amazing. And every breath work is different. Sometimes
yeah,
you have a little bit of tingling, a little bit of fast breathing, and you feel hyped up. Sometimes you
yeah,
feel not as much, but it's all an amazing journey, and you feel much more mindful and relaxed afterwards.
yeah. I love the fast breath work. It for me, it's I guess it's almost like I'm addicted to it, really.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I guess it's in a good addiction. I don't do it every day. Obviously, I
No.
was doing it over the course, and I found doing it every day was a little bit much.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
agree. Yeah. I usually leave it till weekends. Weekends, I've got a bit more
yeah,
time to lie around and do 30 minutes of breath work. And whereas weekdays, I would like 5, 10, 15 minutes of relaxation really
yeah,
sets me up for a good day.
yeah. I agree. I know on the course, if you're doing fast breath work in the morning and then at night, it was like, whoa, this is a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I also wonder if you do it too much, maybe it would desensitize you and not have the same effect.
Yeah, I thought the same, but I'm not entirely sure.
I'm not sure either. Hmm.
Yep. I'm on the same page, that just doing it once or twice a week on the weekend, especially when you can, sit for half an hour or even an hour. That's a really good time to just sit in your own space and breathe.
Yeah, I think it's really good to just spend some time looking after yourself
Yeah.
and nurturing your nervous system as well on the
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah. I guess now that you mention it, the weekend makes perfect sense because you've had that. You can often have quite a stressful week,
Mm,
and it's like a little, hey, let's bring you back down to baseline. That fast breathing. If anything's gone
yeah,
on, it's like boom, back to reality. Okay, I'm
yeah,
good for the
yeah,
next week.
yeah. Well, I guess I've got older kids and my kids aren't annoying me and not crying with no control.
Yeah. My daughter is, she's 5 months old.
Yep,
Um,
yep. There's,
there's no
yeah,
telling.
no, no, that's it. Well, that is fascinating, Jeremy. That's a great journey. Thank you for
Thank
sharing
you.
to us.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Great. Well, I hope our listeners can look into breath work and how breathing can regulate nervous system and maybe release trauma and improve physical performance, athletic
Yep.
performance. And I hope if you want to get in touch with me, then we can talk about how we can improve your breathing and improve all those things I've mentioned. Well, thanks again, Jeremy. Thank you for joining us in this
Cool.
episode of Prescribing Lifestyle.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Prescribing Lifestyle Podcast. Before we wrap up, I have an exciting news to share. I have a new ebook called Low Carb Made Easy. It's now available. This guide is perfect for anyone looking to dive into the low carb lifestyle. Inside, you'll find the basic theory behind low carb eating, a detailed food list, practical meal plan, and a variety of delicious recipes. It's designed to make a journey to better health easier, simpler, and enjoyable. For those who prefer a hard copy, head over to my website and register your interest using the link provided. My website is www.mlcclinic.com.au. Head to online store. Remember, the information shared in this podcast, it's for educational purposes only and not proper medical advice. Always consult your medical professional before making any changes to your lifestyle and diet, or you can come and see me in Melbourne Low Carb Clinic. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and stay connected with us on social media. Your feedback will help us improve and reach more listeners. Lastly, if you found this episode helpful, please share it with your friends and family. Together, we can make a positive impact to our health and our communities. Thanks again for listening, and as always, stay healthy and happy. Until next time.